After years and years and years of trying to stick to a schedule of do this by 10 o'clock and finish that at 12, I found that none of that worked for me. Lately, I've started taking on a lot more in my business, and I've noticed that I've been feeling a little bit overwhelmed, and by the end of each day, I am completely exhausted. The thing that I've noticed is that it's not just me that feels like that. There are so many people that have started up their small businesses, and they're not always sure about how to manage their anxiety and their small business at the same time. In today's video, I'll be talking about time management strategies that will help you grow your business without getting overwhelmed or burnt out. So lately, I found myself dusting off some old strategies that I used to use to help me keep my anxiety under control while still moving forward in life. And I want to share them with you today. So if you have a small business or a side hustle, let me know in the comments below. Put a link to your business. I'd love to see what you've been up to. Hi, I'm Johara and welcome to my channel. I talk about anxiety management strategies for small business owners or people just starting up a side hustle so that you don't get overwhelmed and burnt out while working towards your goals. So please consider hitting that subscribe button and bell icon so that you get first dibs when my videos come out. So the first step is to calm yourself down. So I know that you have a ton of things to do each and every day, and it's so easy to feel totally overwhelmed by everything that you need to accomplish today. But I want to tell you, please calm down, take a moment and calm your mind. So very often it's our anxiety that tells us that everything that we're doing is urgent and needs to be done right now. If you feel completely overwhelmed by the amount of stuff you need to get done today, you want to calm your mind to get rid of that sense of urgency that your anxiety is triggering in you. To calm your mind down, try meditating. So what I do, I have my own version of meditating. I make myself a nice cup of tea. I go and I find a beautiful spot that inspires me. I take my little journal, little diary that I use to keep track of everything that I want to do in my business, anything that inspires me. So I take that and I sit down and I relax for a little bit. I focus on that cup of tea and I focus on my surroundings and I try to calm my mind and forget everything else that's happening in the world in that moment. The aim here is to get rid of any preconceived notions of what should come first. Once your mind is calm, start reflecting on the goals that you're working towards. So ask yourself things like, what are you trying to achieve? Why are your goals important to you? And what stage of your goals are you in right now? Now, focus on the stage that you're in right now. So while you do need to plan a couple steps ahead in any business, try not to think too far ahead because this is often what overwhelms us. So basically, think about where you are right now and what you need to do to move on to the next step of your strategy. So this will leave you with a list of tasks or projects that you need to work on right now in order to complete this stage of your goal and move on to the next one. Then figure out the best order that you need to do these in. Think about what needs to come first, what needs to come last, and number them accordingly. So what you're going to do from here is take things one step at a time, one project at a time, and in the order that you set for yourself. Often trying to do everything all at once or not having an order to the tasks and the strategy that we set for ourselves is what leaves us feeling overwhelmed. So the second step is to plan your project strategically. So now that you know where you need to start, take a look at the first project on your list. But before you go jumping into that project, you need to do a couple more things first. So firstly, you need to think about the exact steps you need to take in order to finish that project. Then you're going to write down these steps. Then try and figure out the easiest way to complete those steps. So the third step is to think about the tasks that you need to do before you even start doing them. Having a clear idea of what you need to do before you even start will give you a clear idea of how you need to allocate your time and what you need to focus on. So once you know what you need to do at the beginning of each task and of each project, take 5 minutes at the beginning of your day to pick the top 3 tasks that you need to focus on that day. These should be tasks that lay the foundation for future tasks. So these will be your 3 priority tasks for the day or for the week if they do take a bit longer. And this means that these tasks take priority over anything else that comes along. There will always be smaller tasks that you'll need to tend to during the day that have absolutely nothing to do with your goals, absolutely nothing to do with your business. It's just part of life. But the trick here is not to let those little tasks take up too much of your time. You want to get back to those priority tasks as soon as possible. So the fourth step is to figure out the absolute easiest way of doing your work. When I wrote my first set of ebooks, it originally took me months of work, but it was only when I bought an ebook from someone and I was just so inspired by the layout that they had, and it was just so beautifully laid out, and I realized I can create a template. So I created a quick 20-page template template that I really liked. Then I started plugging my ebook content into those template pages, and it took me days to create a beautiful ebook that I'm so proud of. So having a template, something as simple as a template, made everything 1,000 times faster. It made the process much more fun. It reflected my brand, and it just made things so much easier without me feeling overwhelmed and anxious about everything. What's the easiest way to complete that project? Are there other strategies that you could use? What are other entrepreneurs doing? How are they producing their content? How are they producing their marketing material? And how are they doing it so fast? So the fifth step involves rethinking your to-do list. Now, often we use our to-do list as just a dumping ground for everything that we think we need to get done. This is what is stressing you out so much. So instead, I have a better way of doing things. So I start the day by knowing exactly what priority task I need to get done for the day. So when I know exactly what I need to do and how it helps me achieve my goals in my business, I find it easier to focus on that and not get distracted. And my major rule is that most of my energy will go into my priority tasks for the day. The sixth thing that I tend to do is schedule my day. And this is how I schedule it. I don't. After years and years of trying to stick to a schedule of do this by 10 o'clock and finish that at 12, I found that none of that worked for me. The thing is, tasks will always take a bit longer than we think they should. So if we put aside 2 hours for that specific task, it's not unusual to see that that task will take 3 hours or the whole day because of certain glitches or issues that pop up. It's usually because we didn't consider every step in that project or every little element that needed to go in the project, and when we start doing it, then we realize, oh my goodness, I need to do X, Y, and Z first, and then I can get back to it. But when you stick to a schedule and this happens, it sets you back in your deadline, which stresses you out, and then you try and squeeze everything into a smaller time frame, which will overwhelm you. So I decided to take a different approach to how I scheduled my day. The first thing I did was to stop beating myself up for not being able to stick to that schedule. Remember, it's not your work ethic that's the problem. It's how you're managing your time that's leaving you overwhelmed and stressed out. The other thing I started to do was create a realistic deadline and a realistic time frame for myself with a little bit of buffer time added onto each task. When I started a project or task, I knew roughly how long that should take me, and then I added 2 or 3 days to that. I worked as hard as I could towards that first deadline, but if I couldn't meet that first deadline, I always had those buffer days. So having a little bit of extra time meant that I could still achieve those goals by the deadline that I set for myself without stressing out too much. And this did wonders for keeping my anxiety levels down while growing my business. So the next thing I did was I started to work according to my energy levels and not just my deadlines. So how this works is you would wake up at, let's say, 8 a.m., do whatever you do in the morning, and then get straight into work. Then you would work till you start feeling tired. So at this point, a lot of people either call it a day or push through that exhaustion. So I found a third way of dealing with this. I take a break. A break can mean anything from a walk around the block to eating a good meal to taking a nap. It all depends on you and what your body needs. Give your body whatever it is that it needs to replenish your energy levels, and then you can get back to your work. And what you'll find is that you'll have the same amount of energy as you had first thing in the morning. As a result, your productivity is going to go through the roof. This is really my favorite strategy, and it really helped me grow my business and get to where I want to get about 6 months ahead of schedule. So in this next video, I'm going to show you my 6 hacks for staying productive while working from home without ever triggering my anxiety or getting overwhelmed.